Well, good morning. It's Memorial Day, May 27th, 2013. And I'm out here on the way to San Francisco on the Bay Bridge, going up the incline right now. I've got my GoPro camera stuck to the top of my helmet, and I've got my motor scooter, and we're on the way. I decided that I would accomplish two firsts today. The first was to make a video using my GoPro cam, and the second was to take my motor scooter across the Bay Bridge for the first time. So here we go. Hope you'll enjoy the ride. The Bay Bridge was started construction in 1933 and opened in 1937. This side, the eastern span, is a cantilever construction and was used because, well, it was less expensive, and the water around here is not very deep. The water under this side of the bridge is pretty shallow, and so the reason they're building the new eastern span is because the wooden pilings that hold this thing up are not doing their job. So we have a little problem there. The western side of the bridge is a suspension bridge similar to the Golden Gate Bridge. Coming up is the Yerba Buena Island, Treasure Island exit. I chose to pull off here just to take a look at Treasure Island. And you see right up there ahead, you can see the tunnel. That's the tunnel that goes through Yerba Buena, connecting the eastern and the western bridges. I guess that's why they call it the San Francisco-Oakland Bay Bridge. Everyone around here just calls it the Bay Bridge. Down below on the left here is the Coast Guard station. San Francisco Bay is a pretty large bay, and up on the top of the island here they've got radar set up. This is the roadway down from Yerba Buena Island to Treasure Island. That's Treasure Island down there, made from landfill. They dredged up the bay basically and piled it up into a big flat piece here for the 1939 World's Fair and Exposition. What do they call it? World's Fair and Exposition. There's a great spot right here for getting a panoramic view of San Francisco. A lot of tour buses come down here. This is a photo op spot if there ever was one, and I'm noticing that this camera doesn't really do it justice. As I said, I'm learning with this GoPro what I can do and what I can't do. It's great for looking at the highway go by in front of me like this, but for taking long shots it's no good. I've got a fisheye lens on this so that I get a real wide angle, and it doesn't shake a lot. But as far as getting the distance shots, I guess I'm going to have to bring my other camera along with me just to make sure that I can stop and get something to fill in. Can't show you something if you can't see it. Here's a fun spot coming out of Treasure Island. Every morning all the people that live there are trying to go to work in San Francisco. You have to stop here, and you have about 10 feet before that. You're on the freeway, and you have to get out while this traffic is going at road speed 50 to 70 miles an hour, and it's coming out of the tunnel. And all they see is a little peekaboo of you coming out of there. So this part of the bridge is really interesting. They built it. It was being built at the same time the Golden Gate was being built, but they have an anchorage in the middle. The Golden Gate had to span the gap over there because of the water depth. This is pretty deep water in here too. I think it's in some places over 90 feet deep. The bridge is double-decker. Right now it's upper deck going westbound, lower deck going eastbound, but originally the upper deck was two-way traffic, and the lower deck had two split lanes, one on either side of the roadway, and the center were the tracks for the key system, which was the predecessor to BART here in the Bay Area. The key system trains ran throughout the Bay Area, all the way up to Antioch. And it looks like they're trying to get it back to that with BART. But now it's one-way traffic on the lower deck going out of town. Makes me wonder if somebody really thought about that and said, well, if we're going to make them one-way, we want the top to be westbound. Yeah. On the new eastern span, they're both side by side, so Oakland will get its chance to be seen as people are coming toward the city. There's an artist, I should get his name and put in this. There's an artist that has lights on the cables coming down from the main cable, the suspension cable. And they're LEDs. I hear they're about 25,000. And if you're down along the Embarcadero at night, you can see all these different fluid patterns being generated by computer. This is the 5th Street off-ramp, and from here we're going to take a run up and over to downtown San Francisco. I thought about making this trip into more than just a trip to see my grandparents. It's a trip to test out this camera and see what kind of an on-the-street type program I could put together. Notice the cable cars. That's a San Francisco tradition. This is the California Street line. When we get to the top of the hill, I'm going to turn right and go through Chinatown on Grant Avenue. Chinatown is one of the, if not the largest Chinese population outside of mainland China. And it's all packed into just a few square blocks down here. Out in the Richmond district, there's also quite a large Chinese population, and in fact, some would call it a second or an underground Chinatown. There's stores, restaurants, and about everything you can find in Chinatown, you can find out there. It's been going on, that's been developing for many years now. As you can see, there's no one on the street, but that's only because today is a holiday and it's 7:30 in the morning. But usually, even though there's no parking, there are always trucks loading and unloading merchandise into the stores down here. It's just mind-boggling. And then people. The people that live in Chinatown tend to shop daily. They don't buy tons of food, like go to Costco and fill up and then come home and put things in the freezer. Every day is a shopping day to get fresh vegetables and meat. And you get to see your meat the way it was brought down. You don't get it all doctored up and wrapped in plastic down here. So some people find it pretty frightening to see the Peking ducks hanging up in the window. So another couple of blocks and we're out of Chinatown. See, there's a truck. Yeah, it's probably what? Oh, the guy's walking off with a pig. Yeah, so that's how fresh your meat is. I don't know. I don't know where they butchered it, but you get your cuts the way you want them down here. When I was a kid, my mother used to send me to a butcher shop that was owned by some Chinese, and they always cut the meat right there. This is the access road to Coit Tower. Billy Coit built the tower to honor the firemen of San Francisco. The tower is made in the design of a fire hose nozzle. She used to chase the trucks around whenever there was a fire. She would be out there, and I don't know if, I guess there were trucks, but I think she chased them while they were on horses too. You notice the little quarter viewing devices there, those telescopes you put a quarter in? There's the tower. I didn't turn my head up high enough, maybe. But those little view scopes When I was a kid, you could stand here and you would see none of that green out there. Those trees had never come to that level. And if you could see behind them, you'd see San Francisco Bay, and right there through the gap was the Golden Gate Bridge. Over to the right more would be the Bay Bridge, Alcatraz Island, Angel Island, all of that out there in the bay. But now it's no longer visible because of the trees. Let's see if I can tilt my head. There's my scooter. Tilt my head back. Yeah, just about. Yeah. Anyway, this is an experimental piece, folks, so you have to excuse my shortcomings on these things. I don't even know why I put it up. I shouldn't have, but it's the first one I've done, and so you get to see it the way it is. Now here's something everyone coming to San Francisco has to try or experience. This is called the crookedest street in San Francisco, Lombard Street. It's between Hyde and Jones. Actually, it's not the crookedest street in the world, and in fact it's not even the crookedest street in San Francisco. There's a street called Vermont over on Potrero Hill in San Francisco that has a street very similar to this that has that's more curvy than this one, but it's not in the posh neighborhood, so it doesn't get the same press as Lombard Street. But it's an experience. I'm just going down this hill hoping and praying that these bricks aren't slippery, because it is a brick roadway, and this early in the morning we tend to get moisture on the ground, so to speak. This hill is so steep that if you look on the side, you'll see there are steps to go down. That was the reason they did it this way in the first place, was a safety reason, because people would walk down the hill, cars would drive down the hill, and they would slide. They would literally slide down the hill. So it was done to help save lives. So now another San Francisco treat. I come through here every now and then just to get a look at what it looks like today, because Fisherman's Wharf is not one of my go-to spots. It is very popular. Another place where if you enjoy being in large crowds of people and having people selling you everything in the world you don't need, there it is. But I shouldn't knock it. I mean, it's great. It really is. People come to San Francisco, and it's a must-see location. The seafood down here is still pretty good. I go to Skoma's on occasion, and there's the big ship's wheel. Well, it's supposed to be a ship's wheel. Once again, I can't get my neck up that high. It's hard to crane your neck when you have a helmet on, even if it has a camera on it. So I thought I'd pull across the street here. Try it again. Still can't do it. So take my word for it. This is Fisherman's Wharf, and we'll move on down the road here. There you can find almost anything down here at Fisherman's Wharf. There are artists, there are musicians. Ripley's has a Believe It or Not installation down here, and it's not just about the restaurants anymore. But once again, seeing it like this, very, very rare, unless you come down at this time of morning. Usually, even at this time of morning, you would see all kinds of delivery vehicles, but it's a holiday. This is the Hyde Street cable car turnaround, and you can see people getting a photo op. There are pictures taken with a cable car in the background. You've seen this in the Rice-A-Roni commercials. Down the road here, world famous, coming up on the left, is Ghirardelli Square. You know, they make that great chocolate. And farther down on the right, the white building there, set off to the right by itself, that's the San Francisco Maritime Museum. There is Ghirardelli Square. That's a pretty popular tourist spot too, and they do have great chocolate. I can't eat chocolate too much anymore, but I really did when I did. They have models, ship models in there that in the Maritime Museum that are just incredible. I mean, some of them are 10, 15 feet long and done in total detail. And straight down the road where all that greenery is located across the wall there is Fort Mason. Back during World War II, Fort Mason was an embarking station for troops going to the Pacific and also for materials being shipped over to the Pacific Theater. This is Marina. The Marina is land that was basically reclaimed and put here for the 1915 Panama Pacific Exposition. And from here all the way down were exhibits. They were basically palaces that were built by different countries. And if you ever get a chance to look through some old, go in your library, go down and look up the Panama Pacific Exposition. You can see the buildings they had here. They were beautiful. The whole thing was beautiful. And this was where the 1989 Loma Prieta earthquake caused the most damage. Just a couple of blocks over is the spot where the big, the house and the big plume of smoke and everything. Here's one of the remnants of the Panama Pacific Exposition. This is the Palace of Fine Arts. And it's the only piece of the exhibition that is in its original location. They've renovated it and seismically retrofitted so that it could withstand another one of those Loma Prieta jobs. And as far as I can remember, it didn't suffer. I didn't hear any reports about it suffering any damage during the Loma Prieta quake, but then we were all busy trying to do other things. This is my reason for coming to San Francisco today, to come to the Presidio. The Presidio's been here since 1776, when the New Spaniards, or New Spain, set it up as a means of defending their interests here in Northern California, and then it became a property of Mexico once Mexico became its own country. And then in the 1800s, I think about 1858, something around there, it was turned over, 1848, gold rush years. It was then turned over to the United States after Commodore Sloat pulled up and just told them, give it to us. And so they said, okay, and they did. And then it became a U.S. Army garrison up until 1989, I think it was, or 69. And then it was decommissioned and the property was turned over to the National Park Service, and it is now part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. But for many, many years it was the home of the 6th Army. And I remember as a kid they had at 5 o'clock they would come in and shoot the cannon off as they lowered the flag and everything. We used to play here too. My friends and I used to come to the Presidio and play. It was like the world's largest playground. And sometimes we'd get into a little bit of trouble with the military police for some of the things we do, but it was great. And it goes all the way around the north side of San Francisco, all the way around to the western side of San Francisco, and has some of the most beautiful view property in San Francisco. In fact, Seacliff, which is a neighborhood on the other side of Presidio, is one of the most expensive pieces of property in San Francisco. The base is now being commercialized. In fact, this year it's supposed to be totally self-sufficient. And when Congress turned it over back in 2007, that was the deal, that it would have to be self-sufficient by the time 2013 rolled around. George Lucas took the hospital that used to be on the post and converted it into another Lucas Films operation, and a lot of other non-profits mainly have set up shop here in the Presidio. The Officers Club is being renovated, and but it's still a real pleasure to come through. The old airfield, Crissy Field, is now a promenade, and on any given day, especially weekends when it's nice, you see thousands of people walking. You can go from there all the way over to Fort Point, which is where the old Spanish fort was located, right at the Golden Gate, right underneath the Golden Gate Bridge. And here's my stop. My grandfather was a Buffalo soldier, and in 1900 he was sent to the Philippines to help put down the Philippine insurgency. This was all part of the Spanish-American War. And when he died, he was buried here along with my grandmother, who is here. And so on Memorial Day I come out to remember him and remember all of you out there that fought and served and participated in helping keep America what it is. I was Air Force, so I get to come in. And so I hope you all will also spend a minute or two, if not more, today thinking about those in your family and those in your neighborhood and those in your world who have gone out to help protect America and what we say we stand for.